10 seconds.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. You can be a big part of this fine production. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Got Just PS on the board. Earl Ingram joining me today for this edition of Dom and Friends. You can check out Earl's show Monday through Friday here on the Civic Media Radio Network. Check him out 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Earl, welcome, man. Happy days, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. How are you? I'm always happy to lend a helping hand.
Yeah, man. I always love your perspective, and just great to see you as well. The holidays, man, it was Christmas yesterday, and I don't know how you folks all do it. And I'm not a religious man, but I'll take the paid day off. Don't get me wrong. And we normally in on my side of the family, we go see my parents, my mother nowadays on Christmas Day, and do the in-laws on Christmas Eve day. So Christmas Eve and late afternoon, went over to my mother-in-law's and my wife's side of the family and the kids. We all went over there and ate and drank and be merry and gave some gifts and had a good time. And then normally I would go up and visit my mom, who's up in Appleton. Fortunately, the memory care unit she's in has a case of the COVID's running around. So she's on lockdown. We'll go see her hopefully on Saturday. So I was unable to do that, but spent my time, watching some sports, playing some video games, drinking some scotch, eating lots of cookies. You think those things wouldn't go together, but they totally do.
Of course they do.
Yes, they do. So getting back into the chair, I want to thank Don Rosen stepping in on Monday, feeling a little bit under the weather. Thank you, Don. He's a cool cat. Hopefully get him back on the show sometime as well, a fan favorite.
Hey, Dom.
Yeah, man.
Don Rosen really is a throwback, man. He's a cool dude, man.
No, man.
Yeah, so we're the same age, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he's just he's a throwback, man. Right? So how can I say to the guy, does that make me a throwback as well?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're the same age, if A plus B equals C. Yeah, Don's a cool cat and definitely talk about old radio dog, man, for real.
I learned where he got his start. Apparently he was gifted a little toy radio that allowed him to just, connect to the airwaves back in the Stone Ages.
Yeah.
And then he just couldn't stop.
He's been at it over almost 50 years, man. In radio.
I know. Wow, that's great. Things have certainly changed since then. And playing the hits and having some fun. So thank you, Don, for stepping in. And again, I like to have friends around as well. So we'll try to get Don in on the circulation as well. Earl is our guy today. So that was my kind of thing. And I tried to stay away. We're going to talk about, people's appetite for politics and news these days. The AP reporting on a poll. No surprise. Folks are kind of burned out on it, Earl. We'll get to that as well. But what I didn't do is go to the socials and post a Christmas message to the masses. That's not my thing. I don't really do that. Not the religious guy, and talk to some friends and some family, but that was about it. But Donald Trump, well, he sure made the time. And in true tradition, because this guy has the habit, Earl, of just saying the craziest things. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, if anybody who, especially your super Christian types, that voted for him. I mean, you imagine this guy getting up in the middle of a church and reading this out loud. I mean, this is what I want. I want to hear this. And I want like Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House. Earl, I don't know if he'll be there come next month, but we'll see. He's a super religious guy. You supporting what Donald Trump is saying? Well, let me throw this out there, Earl, and then I want to get your response. Donald Trump on the Truthy socials, very, very busy. I mean, we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago when Elon Musk put 100 tweets out. Well, apparently Don had 40. Man, what are you doing on Christmas Day? You're tweeting out 40 times. Anyway, here's what the former and soon-to-be had to say. Merry Christmas to all. Oh, should have just stopped right there.
He said everything you needed to.
That's it.
Right
That's
there.
right. That's it. Including to the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal, where we lost 38,000 people in its building 110 years ago, he writes in parentheticals. Always making certain that the United States puts billions of dollars in quote-unquote repair money, but will have nothing, absolutely nothing to say about anything. Also, to Governor Justice Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens' taxes are far too high, but if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%, their businesses would immediately double in size, and they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. Likewise, to the people of Greenland, which is needed by the United States for national security purposes, and who want the U.S. to be there, and we will. Page 2. Merry Christmas to the radical left lunatics who are constantly trying to obstruct our court system and our elections and are always going after the great citizens and patriots of the United States, but in particular, their political opponent, me, capitalized. They know that their only chance of survival is getting pardons from a man who has absolutely no idea what he is doing. Also, to the 37 most violent criminals who killed, raped, and plundered like virtually no one before them, but were just given, incredibly, a pardon, actually a commutation, a pardon by Sleepy Joe Biden. I refuse to wish a Merry Christmas to the lucky souls, but instead will say, go to hell! We had the greatest election in the history of our country. A bright light is now shining over the USA, and in 26 days, we will make America great again. Merry Christmas.
Oh, jeez.
One exclamation point. I kind of feel like he didn't really mean it with only one exclamation point. Earl, I mean, I've been a while since I've went to a Christmas mass, but I don't remember anything along these lines.
You know, man, first off, the run-on sentences. Listen, man, I'm not an English major, and I can butcher some sentences, man.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
I'm going to slay some adjectives and verbs and mix up some, those things. But the run-ons. So he has this thing called Truth Social. First off, let's start there.
The name's BS. Come on. Right off the bat.
Yeah. But here's a guy. The subjects that that's running through his brain. Can you imagine being inside of his head? And all the things that you can be thinking about and talking about. He's talking about the Chinese and the Panama Canal. And man, he's talking about Greenland, and he's talking about, man, and yet the worst part about all of it, Dominic, is this cat is president again. And there's nothing we can do. It hasn't even started yet.
I have to challenge you on that, Earl. I feel like it's never ended.
Right.
I mean, once this guy got in, I mean, even when he decided and toyed around with running back in 2015, it hasn't stopped, man. I think that's contributed to perhaps some of the burnout. But what about the expectations, Earl? You know what I mean? I mean, if this is about for the hardcore Christians, and he did very well with the Christians, right? And perhaps it's that you're blessed if you're rich, God blesses you, whatever they call it. Like if you want to be rich, the religion is to be rich, and that's how you know you curry favor with God is because you're rich. I guess that's the philosophy of lots of these folks that are backing him now. But we're talking about the birth of the Son of God, who died on a cross for our sins. And this guy's going up, and if you believe the story, and this guy's going up on China soldiers and Panama and Greenland and what in Sleepy Joe? Merry Christmas, Earl.
Well, so here's the deal, man. Number one, he's already said I'm not a Christian. He has. After he took the Bible, had it backwards and upside down. And yet people who call themselves Christians gravitated towards him because they somehow believe that he identifies with them, even though he says, I'm not a Christian. Here's a man who worships money.
And himself.
The scripture is clear. The cattle of 1,000 hills, all the silver and all the gold belongs to God. Listen, I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not. I wouldn't even call myself, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a practicing Christian. I don't, I do believe in some of the tenets. Love your brother as yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
There's some tenets in it that I support and believe in, but I'm more of a Christian than Donald Trump ever will be. Man, I do for others. I'm not judging and condemning people. Here, this cat gets up and he's got diarrhea of the mouth on Christmas morning, man. Why didn't he not just, all he had to do was say, hey, Merry Christmas. But he couldn't resist because he's probably the exact opposite of what people would call God. That other person.
He's the Antichrist. Earl Ingram Jr. joining me. 855-752-4842. He's consistent.
Yes.
Last year, in 2023, I got a little bit here from the CNN. Just a little research on this. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Here's where he was having some anger and self-pity while making multiple false or questionable claims in his Merry Christmas message last year. They spied on my campaign, lied to Congress, cheated on FISA, rigged a presidential election, allowed millions of people, many from prisons and mental institutions, to invade our country, screwed up Afghanistan, and Joe Biden's misfits and thugs like deranged Jack Smith are coming after me at levels of persecution never seen before in our country. It's called election interference. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Wow.
You know the most tragic part about all of it is?
What's that?
Man, a lot of people love him and believe in him, man. That's the tragic part of it, man.
But doesn't that seem contrary to the message? If you're talking about love and acceptance and forgiveness and all those things on Christmas Day, and you consistently, year after year, air your grievances, right, Justin? I mean, it's like Festivus. I'm a big fan of Festivus.
Festivus for the rest of
Airing
us.
of the grievances and feats of strength. Well, he's got the airing of the grievances down for sure. Folks, no grievances here. You can join us, 855-752-4842. Earl Ingram Jr. hanging around all today. Just PS on the board. Come back with us.
15.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Earl Ingram joining me today. He can check his show out here on Civic Media Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Jess PS is on the board. You can join us as well, 855-75-CIVIC. We're reflecting on the holiday that was yesterday of Christmas, the celebration of the birth of baby Jesus. And I got to tell you, some of the responses from Donald Trump over the years have been awful, and I'd love to see how the Republicans, or at least the super Christian types, respond to Donald Trump's asinine statements on honoring, apparently, the Son of God. But I heard, Earl, and I'm wondering if you something that you agree with. Maybe because Trump is such a narcissist, he's jealous of little baby Jesus, man. He cannot keep himself out of the news on little baby Jesus' birthday.
Of course.
I don't think he even understands the story. Really. I mean, I don't think, number one, I don't think he's ever, as a young boy or a young man, ever gone through any of that. And so clearly he hasn't taken it upon himself to read anything about the history of it. So it has no value to him. So it doesn't matter, and even if you didn't believe in the story, peace on earth, goodwill to men is the order of the day, right?
Yeah. Yes.
For everybody. That's what it should be. I don't
Right.
care, Christian, Muslim, whoever you are, peace on earth, goodwill to men. He can't even follow that script.
No.
Come on, man. He's got to throw hand grenades, right?
Yes, all the time. All the time. Blow it up, blow it up. The New York Times today did some of my work for me. Of course, I was wondering, number one, Trump says these crazy things all the time, and we got a couple more examples. Perhaps just pull up our 2022 example. But as the New York Times, they kind of summarize what Trump said recently here. Merry Christmas to the wonderful soldiers of China and to Governor Trudeau of Canada and people of Greenland, that kind of stuff. But how does this compare to perhaps some of the other presidents? The actual, what I call them, real presidents. Yeah, I said it. Mega, 855-752-4842. Franklin Roosevelt, here's what he had to say, December 24th, 1941. Talking about how you could celebrate Christmas in a world at war, a world of fighting and suffering and death. Standing alongside Winston Churchill, he said the answer was clear. Quote, our strongest weapon in this war is that conviction of the dignity and brotherhood of man, which Christmas Day signifies, more than any other day or any other symbol, the president said. Against enemies who preach the principles of hate and practice them, we set our faith in human love and in God's care for us and all men everywhere. I mean, that was FDR back in World War II, man. I mean, there's some serious strife going on in the world.
Right.
And he was way more gracious than the Trumpster was. Calvin Coolidge, let's see, in December 24th of 1923, lit the first national Christmas tree on the ellipse, illuminated 2,500 electric light bulbs. That was a big deal back then. Had this to say when he was reassuring a message about disabled vets in World War I that ended 5 years earlier. Quote, the heart of America is with those who make the great sacrifice in defense of our ideals. Whether you continue in the hospitals fighting for recovery or are battling to reestablish yourself in civil pursuits, the nation will be mindful of its obligations to those so honorably stricken. Yeah, a lot of people injured during the world wars. Hell, even Richard Nixon. Can you believe this? I mean, he makes Nixon look like a Boy Scout. Nixon, 1973, December 14th, talking about the single illuminated star on the national Christmas tree as it faced an energy crisis. Here's what he had to say. And in a way, I suppose one could say that the only light on the tree, this will be a very dreary Christmas. But we know that isn't true because the spirit of Christmas is not measured by the number of lights on a tree. The spirit of Christmas is measured by the love that each of us has in his heart for his family, for his friends, for his fellow Americans, and for people all over the world. You know, the criminal Nixon had that to say.
Mhm.
You also know that was the first time in 8 years when Americans, prisoner of war, is on the way home at Christmas. Ronald Reagan. Over the past year, we've begun the long, hard work of economic recovery. Our goal is an America in which every citizen who needs and wants a job can get a job. Poland recently declared martial law. Reagan used his Christmas message not only to ask for faith in the United States, but to warn about the threat posed by the Soviet Union. Reagan went on. The Soviet Union, through its threats and pressures, deserves a major share of blame for the developments in Poland. Once earlier in this century, an evil influence threatened that the lights were going out all over the world. Let the light of millions of candles in American homes give notice that the light of freedom is not going to be extinguished. And Barack Obama also, man, I mean, come on. In this, that's the spirit that binds us together. Talks about caring for those on society's margins, not just as Christians, but as Americans of all faiths. It's what the holiday is about, coming together as one American family to celebrate our blessings and the values we hold dear. And Joe Biden, this year, several hours before Trump posted his Christmas message to all you losers and suckers out there, here's what Biden had to say. He posted this on the X Twitter. For the last time as your president, it is my honor to wish all of America a very Merry Christmas. My hope for our nation today and always is that we continue to seek the light of liberty and love, kindness and compassion, dignity and decency. And then, of course, there's Donald Trump who said, "Go to hell." Sleepy Joe, wonderful soldiers of China, Governor Trudeau of Canada, and hey, the people of Greenland, your taxes are gonna wait. That was Canada. Taxes are gonna go down.
Yeah.
So some comparison, some contrast and compare the former and now the new compared to some of the what I would call traditional, regular-ish. You know, how it used to be. I mean, maybe it's just the black and white photos from back then. Doesn't show the orange as much. It seems a whole lot more fascistic these days. Folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show, hanging out today with Earl Ingram, Jess PS, and you on the phones. I see you. The text lines are working as well. You can join theirs, 855-752-4842, 855-75-Civic. Finally, are we over the happy holidays argument? Is there still a war on Christmas? And hell, it's Hanukkah today, too. Starts today, right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, damn. We're going to talk about that as well. Come back with us.
1 minute. $15.
Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents. They just want to fight and curse. Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada. Blame Canada.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Don't blame Canada. It's our 51st state. Maybe. If Donald Trump gets his way. I don't recall during the election cycle, Earl Ingram Jr. joining me today, and Just PS. I don't recall the foreign policy of Donald Trump saying he was going to, what, annex Canada? Invade Panama? Invade Panama? And what? And go after Greenland? And he tried to do this last time around. He was talking about what? Trading Puerto Rico for Greenland? I don't mean. It's just, it's hard to fathom that this is a president of the United States, and this is what the conversation is, but this is where he has driven us. In doing so in his Christmas message. Go to hell! As specifically referring to the 37 people whose sentences were commuted by Joe Biden. I want to get to that conversation as well. But with regards to the holidays and the war on Christmas, seemingly, Earl, the war on Christmas has subsided a bit since Bill O'Reilly got off the air, man. Because it was always like a war on Christmas, and I don't feel like it's that nasty anymore. What's your take on on the war on Christmas as it has been presented to us over the course of the last 10 years or so?
The whole argument and that used to take place about the war on Christmas. They don't call it Christmas anymore. The one thing that our nation is supposed to be is a nation that includes all beliefs and does not prejudge others, and that others have every right to their own beliefs. You remember that, Dominic? Somewhere that the founders of this nation had this ideal that we're not going to pressure people to think alike. And so you have a right, if you wanted to say happy holiday, nobody could look at you as if you had just committed a mortal sin because you didn't say Merry Christmas, or someone said Xmas because they didn't want to use Christ's name when it came to Christmas. Well, whatever those beliefs were, people in this nation supposedly are entitled to those beliefs. And I remember this battle, which, seemed like not so long ago, that people couldn't, if you use the word Xmas, you would be excommunicated, or your parents would take you out of the will because of this. And here's why I have such a tough problem in this nation, Dominic, is the intolerance of people for other, American people and their rights. Somehow the individual right of a person supersedes the other person's rights. My rights supersede anybody else's because, I'm who I am.
Because they're my rights.
Yep. Hey, think about that, Dominic. This is how insanity and how insane this is, because I've been led to believe that me as an individual, my rights are more important than the masses of the people. So I believe it's Christmas. You don't say Christmas, you're anti-American. What is that? That's that Donald Trump way of thinking. And it's permeated, man, so many people that the pressure has forced people to do away with what may have been their beliefs. Happy holiday. I'm on the air the other day and I'm caught between, well, what am I going to say? Merry Christmas.
Right.
Happy, man. Hey, happy holiday. That encompasses it all. But it's a ridiculous argument to have because it doesn't matter what it is, man. What does it really matter? What you name it, as long as what it supposedly represents
Right.
is being around the people you love, and breaking bread with them. That's what it's about. The titles are meaningless.
Earl Ingram.
To me.
Earl Ingram joining me today. Just PS on the board, 855-752-4842. I've struggled with it as well as the total non-believer of any of it. I'm a big Happy Days guy. Hey, Happy Day. I mean, everyone should. I love that. Happy Days. Who could argue with Happy Days? But around the holiday season, I have come to the philosophy of responding in kind. So I generally don't initiate the Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever the case is. But if someone says it, I'll say what they say. So if someone says to me, "Hey, Dom, Merry Christmas," I'll say, "Hey, Merry Christmas," right back. Or if someone says, "Hey, Happy Holidays," I'm a big, "Hey, Happy Holidays to you too." "Hey, Happy Hanukkah, you too. Happy Festivus," right back at you, brother. You know what I mean? I'm okay with all that because I can't get mad at anyone wishing me a happy day, man. You know what I mean? I'll take every happy day, every wish, hell, every prayer I can get. That's okay. So I think because in some regards, the hard right and maybe those like Bill O'Reilly who were pushing this thing so very long, and he's no longer on the circuit and banging that drum as much as he used to, or there's been a realization from those folks who were so hardcore in their beliefs that, oh, maybe I can accept, someone else wishing me a different holiday than the one that my belief system allows me to wish them well on. It seems that this should be very easy for us, Earl. As you mentioned, goodwill, peace on earth, goodwill toward all men. And the Happy Holidays is a nice catch-all. I mean, how many actual holidays, religions practice holidays between, I don't know, this time of year? Like I saw
there's at least a dozen.
15, something like that, and I know a few of them. And sorry, I don't know all. And as the atheist, as I like to say, I don't know all the finer points of fiction. So forgive me if I kind of don't dig into it as deeply as some people would. But I can certainly appreciate when friends and family want to give me good wishes. How can I possibly not take them and then give them back in return?
It should be so simple.
It should be so simple.
You receive goodwill, you send goodwill back.
To hell with you, Sleepy Joe.
And you too.
Man, the tragedy in all of this is that man, once again, is going to be the most powerful man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he represents all of us. And yet I don't know how people who said, yes, this is my man, and you look at him and you see him and you hear responses like you just read, every one of those presidents you spoke about before and what they had to say about the holiday. How difficult is it to do that?
Right.
Come on, man. They've got writers. If they can't do it themselves, the writers will pen something
Oh, Trump's his own best PR
I know.
guy, man.
I know.
He won't let anybody talk about, like, that's weakness, Earl. I mean, that's my thing. I think a guy like Donald Trump thinks about love and community and giving and compassion as signs of weakness. That, and of course, he's a narcissist and he's jealous of little baby Jesus.
Right.
But those I think are the things that drive him. If you're compassionate, Earl, you're weak. You know, if someone's having a hard time, you step on them when they're down. You stick it to them when you can. You know, you never let a good emergency go to waste. Look at COVID. You know what I'm saying? He's an opportunist. I don't know if there's literally, dude, I don't know if there's any love in that guy. I don't remember him writing about loving his family, writing about love of country, love of family, love of his creator, whomever that may be. I don't ever recall Donald Trump talking about love and peace ever.
Well, you know, the worst part about it, Dominic, is, you know, those of us who've been around a few days longer than dirt, we know who Donald Trump is, man. He's been that way forever. He was always that way. And so I don't know why anybody could have thought that he would show some different signs of humanity. He's never been that. Even as a young, wealthy man, he was the ogre that he is now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people knowingly said, that's my guy. That's the kind of person I want to represent me. For the life of me, man, I just will never understand that. And all of us are going to suffer the consequences for that. Once again,
855-752-4842, 855-75 We got some of the texters on. Gordy, not lost on me that the Christmas show, normally hosted by Don the Atheist, I think Dom, me the Atheist, was replaced by a man of Jewish faith. Yeah, man. We got all sorts of faiths around here, Gordy, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Our buddy Cam, Panama is investigating Trump for tax fraud, so that's why he's talking about buying them. Yes, good point. And I recall, because Trump did have a building down there, and if I recall a few years ago, I saw the workers out there kind of, you know, taking the Trump name
right
off the front of the building. So, you know, Trump's trying to, I don't know, get even, get his money back. Not sure on that. 855-752-4842. A couple callers been patient. Jake from the MKE, you're up. Happy days, Jake. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I thought Santa Claus was was it Jesus who was supposed to bring gifts?
I'm so confused.
Anyways, Christmas is about presents and spending money. That's all it's about. But I actually have a serious question. I'm sorry. Earl, since you said you're a little older than dirt, how long?
3 days older than dirt.
3 days older than dirt. How long do you think it's going to be until we actually have actual protests on the streets, and how long until things become violent?
Protests about what?
About everything that's going to be happening. I mean,
I would not advise people. I would not advise people to protest with this guy in control, because you just don't know where that's going to end up, man. I don't think it's going to end up well. I would
protest at
advise
all, or
people,
wait for a specific incident.
Yeah, well, I would just advise, I would advise people, the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, all those different things are going to be challenged with this guy. And people should have known that they were giving up their rights when they elected him. So, man, I just hope that people are careful, because people seem to be afraid. The people who are in charge seem to be afraid of him.
Earl, but to Jake's point, if you compare it to, the marches in the 60s here in Milwaukee, certainly there were people in power back then that weren't very friendly to the civil rights movement. And there were challenges to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly back then. Do you think that's something? Do you think this is a worse environment than it was back in the 60s, Earl?
I think this is a worse environment because, back in the 60s, when people were protesting the civil rights movement and those types of things, you know, even the president at that time and the world watching it spoke out about the injustice, and just a lot different than it is today. I just think that Donald Trump is not alone. He's got an army with him of Republicans in the Congress and in the Senate and in the Supreme Court, who he kind of orchestrates. He's the puppet master, and they follow his lead. That's where the fear is. The Supreme Court is not free anymore, independent. He's put those people there, and they're going to respond to him. That's the fear.
Earl Ingram Jr. Hell, man, they try to steal our vote back in 2020. We're not going to let them steal our right to protest, our right to assembly, and our right to free speech, baby. I'll be on that street with every single one of you. Come back with us. Get more of your calls, 855-752-4842.
Before somebody thinks of blaming us.
15.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Earl Ingram Jr. hanging around today, just PS on the board. And if you're listening, Panama, that is going to be your new national anthem. If Donald Trump has his way, Van Halen, Panama, get it, know it, you love it. It's going to be that way unless you lower your prices. Panama, we want Panama.
And stop investigating Trump.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That too.
That too. 855-752-4842. Let's get some more callers up on the board before the top of the hour. David from San Francisco, you are up. Welcome, David. Happy days. What do you got for us?
Oh, well, thanks, Tom. And hey, Earl. Out here in San Francisco, there are only one or two properties that Trump owns. And I've been thinking, if I was to get out a donation bucket, charge people $10 to take a leak on the side of that building. I bet we could make some real money here. And talking about the con artists that are allied with Trump. You remember Harlan Crow is the guy that's buying the Supreme Court.
Yeah, the money man.
Specifically. Yeah. Now, apparently Harlan Crow is not just a billionaire in Texas. He owns land up there in Chicago. He owns land all over the country. And of course, people could do the same thing, exposing Crow's properties throughout the area and doing boycotts. And I'm thinking specifically of boycotts, protesting them. And when you think about Harlan Crow, there was recently an article that came out that showed that the yacht that Clarence Thomas was riding around in and not paying a nickel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that the taxpayer paid for it because Harlan Crow, of course, Clarence Thomas was claiming that it was hospitality, that Harlan Crow was just a buddy. But it turns out that Harlan Crow wrote it off on his taxes.
Mm.
So he's a welfare cheat. And so when you start looking at doing asset forfeiture, asset seizure of Harlan Crow's properties, and so if you go to crowholdings.com, and then I believe you go to the development section, you can see what properties he has as residential, commercial, and industrial. And so that gives a lot of opportunity for people to target that way. And finally, Earl was talking about Trump's cavalier attitude about women and whatnot. I'm guessing that one of the technique that Trump used to get that attitude was when he was going around with his dad collecting rent. And what do you bet that there was some, pretty housewife that didn't have the rent, and Donald Trump would just move in on her, and whether he would rape her or whether he would just wipe away the rent, for certain sexual favors. You can bet that. I expect there was a famous, I believe it was an interview where Trump, as a teenager, is with his dad. And they're coming out of a building, and they've got this real nasty attitude. You imagine the sickest kind of landlord.
Well, yeah, and David, thanks, man. We got some callers waiting. I want to cut you short there. Certainly some serious allegations. Could those things have happened? I mean, lots of things could have happened. Would I expect that Donald Trump would use every advantage, all the leverage he could to advantage himself on some women? Yeah, I could see that happening. Hell, he's been convicted of adjudicated of sexual assault, which I believe the judge referred to as rape. Thanks for the call, David. 855-752-4842. Cam from Appleton, you are up. Welcome, Cam. What do you got for us?
Hey guys, happy holidays.
Thank you.
I'm excited because I like watching Conan O'Brien's travel show, and if any of you guys are familiar with it, one of the episodes he ends up going to Iceland, and that was during Trump's presidency. And during that episode, every person that he met there, he asked them if they're excited for the U.S. to purchase them, and every single person answered with a resounding no. And that just means that he has to do one in Panama now to keep up the looks. And speaking of looks, before I go, this is incredibly petty of me, but I am excited because, when I ask you, how if you have like a knotted shoe and you keep pulling on that knot, it just gets more just messed up, right? Well, Elon is taking Ozempic on top of all of his other drug abuse stuff. And if people are using a drug to lose weight, I understand it. And good for you for doing something about it. But I can't imagine pumping something like Elon full of ketamine and drugs of various legalities and Ozempic on top of that.
It's one big
It's
science
not gonna make that
experiment.
knot any prettier. No.
Thanks for the call, man. Yes, a lot to unpack there, Cam. But the Donald Trump Panama thing, that's an issue, and he's out there tweeting about it or truthing about it. He believes somehow, some way that China's in charge, and there may be some administrative or management of some ports through some Hong Kong subsidiaries and so on and so forth. Yeah, okay. And does China want to exert their influence all over the world? Sure, just like we do. Maybe we should actually have some leadership in Central and South America in addressing some of our legacy imperialistic corporate problems that we've endeavored over these last 100 years or so. Nothing happens in a vacuum, folks. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. Got a big wish list of what Donald Trump's going to do on his very first day. He's going to be real busy. Come back with us.
30 seconds. $15.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out with us. Got Earl Ingram joining me today. You can check out his fine show right here on the Civic Media Radio Network, 8 to 10 a.m. It's that early morning shift. Earl gets up early. Hey, we got Jess PS on the board as well, 855-752-4842. Lots to consider this hour. And callers, we see you holding. We'll get to you momentarily. There's some angst going on in the mega. We got this Laura Loomer lady fighting with Elon Musk, who's fighting with RFK, and I don't know what's going on. And you know what? We didn't elect any of these people. It is so there's some angst in the locker room. Let's call it. Also, this 81-year-old rep hasn't put a vote in apparently for like 6 months, and she was found, quote unquote, in like a memory care unit.
Don't worry, Dom.
What?
Her aides are keeping the ship running.
Well, then if that's the case, then how's anybody mad at Joe Biden? So, should there be an age limit? I want to get there as well. And of course, as mentioned, the things that Donald Trump will do on the first day in office, he's got a list, and we're going to go through it because it's like Christmas time. It's like Santa's list. We got a list, Earl. We're going to read them off. Let's get to the phones, though, right away. We got a conversation regarding the Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas debate. Nick from Madtown, you are first this hour, Nick. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus, Happy Holidays, whatever you want to say.
Right on, right back at you, Nick.
Yes, but no, what I wanted to say is that I thought you and Earl made really good points about how, especially you when you said that if someone just wishes you a good day, just take it.
Yeah, man.
You know, that's the way it is. But I will say that, you know, when I'm making business calls, I always end it this time of year by saying, have a great holiday, just because I don't know who I'm talking to. And I'm trying to make a buck. I'm not trying to offend anyone, you know? And
okay, but let me ask you though, Nick.
You know,
why do you feel in the call, and assuming these are business calls, solicitations, whatever the case may be, why do you feel the need to even bring the holiday up? Can't you just say have a great day, thank you? You know what I'm saying?
I could, but it is the holiday season, and it's just a nice thing to say. I think I'm not trying to be, you know, push anything. That's why I say have a great holiday. You know,
because it leaves it generic enough not to make anybody mad if you say the wrong holiday, right?
Yes, because some people might get mad, and not many, but some people might. And the bottom line is, I'm doing business, but I'm also trying to be nice.
Now, let me ask you this though: what about that population that don't celebrate any of those holidays, like the atheists, like me? Don't if you say holiday, aren't you putting yourself on the line to piss off the atheist, Nick?
Not really, because I know I have quite a few atheist friends who love the hell out of Christmas, just because it's a fun time, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's. I think just. I mean, it is the holiday season, so I say have a great holiday. That works, I think. But on the other hand, if someone like I have a very good friend. She's Jewish, and we talked yesterday, and she told me Merry Christmas. I said Happy Hanukkah, you know, because we know each other.
Because you know each other, you know each other's favorite religion.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
but,
I got it. Yeah, that's I think, Nick, isn't this all just being civil and cordial and trying to be polite? Isn't that really what this is all about? You know, not trying to step on someone's faith or not trying to mock somebody's faith. It's just about, as Earl said, you know, peace on earth and goodwill towards man and women people.
Absolutely. And if someone, like you said, if someone wishes me a good day, I'm going to wish it right back.
Yeah.
And I don't care what they say, you know?
Right, man. Well, Nick, thanks for calling and have a great night, man. Appreciate it.
Happy holiday, Nick.
Your input as well. 855-752-4842. All right. Any other holidays? Hanukkah. Let's talk about Hanukkah. Jess?
What do you want to know?
So what I was under the impression, and I am, so I'm of the tribe.
Sure.
On my mother's side. My dad's Italian. But I'm not practicing. But that allows me, because it's my mother's side, to, I guess, be part of the religion, but I'm not.
Yes, it's a matrilineal religion. It's passed through the mother's line.
If you say so, and that's the tradition. That's what they say. So my brother is practicing.
Okay.
And I don't really, like I said, I don't know anything about it. So, and I thought Hanukkah started today, but it was actually yesterday.
Well, it started last night.
Last night.
So
okay.
all of our days start at night. And this, of course, goes all the way back to Torah, because Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Voker, Yom Rishon. There was evening, there was morning, the first day. So we are told that evening comes before morning. It flies a little bit in the face of our convention here, but not really. I mean, you think about it, our day starts at midnight, right?
All right. Yeah.
Our day starts
12:01.
at 12:01.
Yep.
So it's not so different, but it actually starts at sunset rather than at that midnight moment.
Yep.
So the holiday, which lasts for 8 days, starts at night. This year, for the first time in 20 years, Christmas and the first night of Hanukkah were the same calendar day.
Oh, all right.
Very interesting.
Big
Happens
party.
every once in a while. Hanukkah always starts on the 25th of Kislev, though, so that never changes. It's just that where the lunar calendar and the solar calendar meet up, that changes every year. So it goes for 8 days. We light the Chanukiah, which is sometimes called the menorah.
Right, the candle, the candle holder with all the candlesticks on it,
It's a square rectangle situation where every Chanukiah is a menorah, but not all menorahs are a Chanukiah. It's about the number of branches, their leveling, and just the placement of each one.
Gotcha.
A menorah can have any number of branches. A Chanukiah must have, at least to be kosher, must have 8 branches at the same level, and then 1 branch that holds the helper candle that can be at the same level but offset or at a different level from the other 8. And we light 1 additional candle every night, building up to that 8 full candles plus the shamash plus the helper. So last night we lit the first candle as well as the shamash, so 2 candles total. Tonight we'll light 3 candles total.
Oh, they're not burning consistently, so they
No,
go out.
No.
Okay.
They go out. Some people do choose to kindle the lights for a certain amount of time, usually from sunset until like business close. So the Talmudic passages that talk about how to fulfill the mitzvah of lighting candles say that you should do it from sunset until people leave the markets. So business close.
Bars are open till 2, Jess. I'm just saying.
It's a lot of oil, man.
Now, is there then, obviously with Christmas or Christmas Eve, like I said, my one side, my family, my wife's side would do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on my side. And those are like very specific days to get together with family and whatever. You got 8 days to party.
8 days, man.
I mean, is there, how do you do
crazy
it?
nights.
Do you do something, is there consistency throughout the religion that like the 8th night is the night or the first night is the night, or do people just kind of do their own thing?
It tends to be whenever you can get everyone together.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier than, Christmas, where you have to sort of pack everything into 30 hours. Instead, you've got 8 days to sort of spread things out. And you can be like, we'll go to Grandma's tonight. We'll go to Aunt Kathy's tomorrow. We'll do this and that. Make sure that we can hit everyone up. In my family, we tend to try to get together on the last night where we'll have the whole family over and we'll light all the Chanukiot in the house. So we'll have just a table covered in foil and set all of these candelabras out, fill them all with candles, turn off all the lights, and then you just have all of these gorgeous candles flickering, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Oh, nice. Now, where do the gifts come in? Where's the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip? Like, are there presents? Are there?
So some families choose to give one smaller gift every night. Some families will do one big gift either on the first night or the last night or just somewhere in between. My parents were of the you get a you can choose. They gave us the option of, do you want a small gift each night, or is there one big thing that you want? So when I was little, it was like, yeah, I want 8 things. I want the more things,
The more things, the better, right?
The more
yeah.
things, the better. And then as I got older, it was like, you know what? What I really, really want, I want to go to the Dells. I want to go to the Dells for a night. Can we do that? And so that would be my Hanukkah present.
Nice.
And it's just like one bigger thing. These days it's an Aldi card. It's a gas card.
Right. I get a lot of gift cards. My Groppies, man. It's amazing groceries. That's what I get these days. All right, well, thank you for sharing, Jess.
Yeah, of course.
Enlightening me. 855-752-4842.
You know, Dominic, today starts Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, yeah.
So
tell us about
Kwanzaa is a holiday is called to celebrate the richnesses of what it means to have African roots. So Kwanzaa runs from December 26th through January 1st. It's a 7-day celebration of African roots observed by people of all faith backgrounds, since it's not tied to any religion. Instead, the African American and Pan-African holiday is anchored by 7 principles. And so those different principles are observed each day. And so it runs again from now until, the 2nd of January. So when you talk about happy holiday,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. She just talked about the Jewish holiday. I'm telling you about something called Kwanzaa, another holiday. And so when you try to force people all into saying Merry Christmas, it's all the different people, Americans, citizens, that you basically leave out because you want them to observe what you believe in, and you totally dismiss what their beliefs are, which is antithetical to what this nation is supposed to be.
Supposed to be, Earl.
Yeah.
What it's supposed to be. Seemingly, that's not the case. And thank you for that. I know when Kwanzaa started, like in the 60s. So this is
Right.
a newer holiday. And boy, did some people have an issue with that, Earl. I mean, oh my God, what is this? That's not a holiday. It started in the 60s. This can't possibly. Well, everything started sometime. Earl, everything has a beginning. And be it sooner or later or earlier, it doesn't take away from the whole point of it all.
Whatever it is, you have a right to it. If
Yes.
it's worshiping Satan in this country, you have a right to do that.
But Satan is a Christian God. That would make me a Christian, which I'm not. I'm like Trump. I'm not a Christian. Folks, come back with us. More of your calls and conversation. We'll get to Donald Trump's wish list. Man, he's got a Santa list full of what he's going to do on that first day. We'll get to some of that as well. Plus your calls and texts, 855-752-4842.
15.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Having some fun today, talking, religion, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all the
your
good
favorites.
things. Right. 855-75 Civic, the text line. Dom, no holidays, so no gifts for Dom. Well, hey now.
What was that about? We don't do adult gift giving anymore?
I try not to. I actually give adult gifts. I'm a big fan of
Adult gifts.
pre-rolls. I mean, it is.
Who isn't?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, everyone loves a pre-roll. That's all I'm saying. Or maybe a little package of them.
Maybe.
'Cause you never know. You
Little
just
treatsies.
Yeah, little treats. Something. I'm a big fan of the consumables. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite gift.
Yeah, it's drugs and alcohol. Lots of gifts for everybody. 855-752-4842. Got Earl Ingram hanging out with me today. Jess PS on the board, and you folks on the line as well. Dick from Madtown, you are next. Welcome, Dick. Happy days, man. What do you got for us?
Real quick, I just passed on this. I found it interesting that Hanukkah and Christmas, I've only done this on the same date, I think 3 times I read since 1900.
Wow.
And then something I don't like about the holidays, I like Christmas music. I'm one of these weirdos, but I don't need it stuffed down my throat at Thanksgiving. And what I don't like is it goes away at 12:01 on Christmas night. Why can't it be played until like 2 or 3 days?
Yeah,
after
man.
Christmas?
I mean,
You
like,
still got-
no, I
That's
get
just
you, Dick. Do
rude
you
to
put
cut
a
it
tree
off.
up? Do you put up a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it a real
I
tree
do.
or like a fake tree?
Well, the one we got is a fake tree.
Yeah. I mean, I've evolved to the fake tree once the kids got a little older, and I was like, so we went to the fake tree as well. I guess here's my point on the tree, Dick. I think Christmas music should play up until as long as the tree's up. You know what I mean? So what's the protocol, man? When do you take the tree down?
Well, I don't know, but it's certainly not 12:01 on Christmas night.
I don't know. There've been
My
some crazy
goodness,
Christmases, man. You're like, I'm done with this crap. Tear it all down.
Stuff it in a bag.
Right.
I had a good friend. His wife the Christmas tree was going to the curb on Christmas night.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's like, this is just so wrong in my book. And it's also wrong that Menards shoves it down your throat. Is they're starting to put Christmas stuff in the certain areas in the store on Labor Day weekend.
What?
Yes, I saw it right here in Madison. I think in the furniture area where outdoor furniture was, they were starting to put some of the Christmas stuff out Labor Day weekend.
No.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, so Dick, what I would say to you is, what do people expect when the holiday? Many of the businesses do at least a quarter or more of what they take in
you're right,
financially
Yep.
on Christmas. So the earlier they get started,
Yep.
it's
Well,
and so
where are we now, Earl?
so-
by the way,
so at the root of it is, again, material things.
yes.
And it's
And then-
totally
yeah.
lost for what it supposedly stood for. How often do you hear
Exactly.
people talking about baby Jesus on Christmas? It's
You
not
don't.
talked about at all.
No, not at all. And that's the way, where I came from, I fell somewhat away from it for certain reasons, but I just don't quite understand it. Any of these religious holidays anymore, they become so commercial.
Well, but Dick, it's not the religion themselves isn't becoming commercial. It's it's the businesses that are using it for commercial purposes, man. And I get what you're saying, as you mentioned, man. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, right? It's about making money for those folks that are selling the products and the services. That's what it's, and it's retail. It's a big time of year, and so they take advantage. But I also got to say, it's a little hard to like sell a snowblower because baby Jesus endorsed it. You know what I mean? How do you, you know what I'm saying? How do you can't, it's not good. Well, maybe it used to not fly. Maybe it would nowadays. But it seems like that would be.
I want to see the ads.
It's just what I'm saying. I mean, think of all the blasphemy ads we could actually have. But my understanding on this topic, Reuters is reporting updated 4 hours ago, price-conscious holiday shoppers open their wallets for last-minute online discounts on clothing, stocking stuffers, potentially benefiting realtors that offered such convenient options as free delivery and curbside pickup. Let's see here. The numbers. Let's get to the numbers. According to a MasterCard Spending Pulse report, online spending during the holiday shopping period from November 1st to December 24th grew by 6.7% over last year, compared to a 2.9% increase for in-store sales. This contributed to a total spending increase of 3.8% over 2023. Surpassing the previously forecast rise of 3.2% and topping 3.1% during the same time last year. Damn. So apparently people weren't worried about the price of eggs, Earl. That's all gone by the wayside now.
So let me add this quickly. The holiday, Christmas, that's supposed to fill people with cheer, is also a day that many people commit suicide.
Yeah.
And many people who can't deliver the goods. Imagine people who struggle financially and economically and who are just barely making it. And this holiday brings pressure and stress on them. A dad who's working a minimum wage job, he's doing the best that he can, but he can't deliver for his children on Christmas Day. Or a family member who's not doing as well as others, and the one who's doing really well buys a car for his mom. And the other brother who's struggling, doing the best he can barely. I mean, those stresses come along with a day that's not supposed to even have that, man.
That's not, you're absolutely right. It's supposed to be about the peace on earth and goodwill toward all humans. And this manufactured stress for the material things, it is a problem. It certainly is, and has a negative impact certainly on lots of folks this time of year. So we'll try to bring you some joy. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. We got Trump's Christmas list for day one. We'll get to it.
1 minute. $15.
I'm going to Chicago. That's the last place my baby stay. Yeah, it's right, baby. I'm packing up my bags, gonna leave this old town right away.
Hey, welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Earl Ingram joining me today. You can check his show out 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday on the Civic Media Radio Network. Just PS working the board. Loving that song. Chicago plays some football tonight. Well, they're going to be on the field. I don't know if they'll be playing any football, but yeah,
there's a game tonight.
Yeah, man, Chicago's playing tonight. Lots of football
Wow.
this time of year. 855-752-4842. I know we got the wish list. Axios put out a list of all the things Donald Trump claimed he was going to do on day one. But I want to throw this one out there for your consideration and your thought. Americans are exhausted by political news, TV ratings, and a new AP poll show that they are tuning out. Damn.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I can. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. We just got done with an election. It was, and we've been on. I mean, we've been on
for months.
Right. It's been a long time coming to take a little break. But some of these statistics were quite surprising. As the AP does report, television ratings and the poll clearly illustrate the phenomenon that people are tuning out. About 2/3 of American adults say they have recently felt the need to limit media consumption about politics and government because of overload, according to this new survey. So, behind the numbers, the poll conducted early in December found that 7 in 10 Democrats say they're stepping back from political news. That percentage is not as high for Republicans who have reason to celebrate Trump's victory. Still, even on the Republican side, Earl, 6 in 10 Republicans say they felt the need to take some time off too, and the share for independents is similar. Now, some of the ratings, of course, we're media folks. I know, hey, don't turn us off now. We're talking about Christmas and stuff. It can, especially this time of year. We got to lighten it up a bit because, number one, the news cycle is generally a little slower, and there's other things to talk about, like peace on earth and goodwill towards man. Some of the stats here regarding the networks. The differences are starker on the network televisions. After election night through December 13, the primetime viewership of MSNBC was an average of 620,000. That's almost as much as this show. Down 54% from pre-election coverage, pre-election audience this year. Down 54%. That same time frame, CNN's average audience was 405,000. They're down 45%. Damn. Also, at Fox News, the favorite news network for Trump fans, post-election average of 2.68 million, up 13%, Nielsen said. Since the election, 72% of people watching one of those three cable networks in the evening were watching Fox News, compared to 53% prior to Election Day. So with the percentage of CNN audience paring down and going down, the percentage of the MSNBC going down, plus an increase of Fox News viewerships up 13%. That means 72% of people watching news, of those three, they're watching Fox News.
So let me say, I remember when Dominion sued Fox News, and Fox News had to pay 700 and some odd $1 million.
They settled.
And Fox News said, "Hey, we're not a news channel.
We're just
we're entertainment." You remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
So now all of a sudden, are they now news?
Well, I mean, they're what they are, man. If you're getting eyeballs and clicks, do you care? You know, I mean, does it matter? Unless you're getting sued, does it really even matter? And because I'm not clear that as a general rule, that lots of folks are dialed into, hey, this is opinion, this is news, this is infotainment. You know, there's a delineation. It's not like
they put up a label.
You should.
Uh-huh.
They should. Yeah, that's a great point. And certainly, you know, Fox News has taken its dings in that. And they're still in, I think, Smartmatic. They still have that lawsuit out there. That's for over $1 billion. So they're not out of the woods yet in that regard. But, you know, the Trumpsters, they don't give a damn. They're up 13%, man. People are celebrating on that side. Now, the question is, does it bounce back? A little bit more here. The post-election slump for fans of the losing candidate is not a new trend for networks that have become heavily identified as a partisan source. MSNBC had similar issues after Trump was elected in 2016. You can imagine that. Same for Fox in 2020. Although that was complicated by anger, many of the viewers were outraged by the network's crucial election night call for Arizona for the Democratic presidential candidate Biden. Yeah, damn them.
Remember those days?
They told the truth. Got to turn them off.
Get your pitchforks. Let's go.
Pitchforks and torches time in America. But, you know, tell them that Dominion, you know, flip the votes and they'll tune in for that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the audience that Joe Biden won Arizona, they'll tune you out. Doesn't that kind of tell you everything you need to know about who's listening and watching Fox News and what their priorities are? Also, MSNBC had its own anger issues after several Morning Joe viewers became upset that Scarborough and Brzezinski went and kissed the ring, my words, after his victory last month. Yet, and this is interesting, according to the AP, while the show's ratings are down 35% since the election, that's a smaller drop than the prime time ratings.
Ooh.
So everyone's paying the price over there. And even so, apparently Morning Joe, not as bad as the primetime reductions. So I assume, Earl, that, you know, people are taking a breather right now, and we allow for that, folks. You can take a breath, hang out with the family, enjoy the holidays, New Year coming up, new beginnings. I know all you folks are going to be in my gym after January 1st, making it all busy for me so I can't go and push weight around because y'all going to lose that weight. Yes.
Dominic, what they're doing is they're certainly taking a breather. But when Inauguration Day comes, from that point forward, those numbers are going to shoot back up because this guy is going to be moving and shaking. And, man, you're not going to want to not see what's going on. He's going to be good for CNN. He's going to be good for MSNBC. He's already good for Civic Media, because how can you not? This man is the most powerful man. He's going to be the most powerful man in the world. And you clearly know that he's not well, right? And he's doing crazy things that are going to impact and affect everybody. So whether you want to take, and they're taking a short breather, because can you imagine on Inauguration Day what he's going to be saying? Oh, man.
Yeah, Earl, it's going to be must-see TV. I mean, the decline of Western civilization will draw big ratings. I am sure of it, especially from overseas. 855-752-4842. And again, I get it. You know, AP is writing a piece. This seems to happen over and over again with election cycles. You know, and I agree with you, Earl. I think come a couple of weeks from now, folks are going to be more dialed in, especially as they see what the priorities are coming out of this administration. But the first thing they're going to have to do, Earl, before they can get to Donald Trump's Axios wish list of all the things he's going to do on day one, they have to have a Speaker of the House. And my understanding, Mike Johnson does not have a lot of love in the room. Let's put it that way. So if they have similar difficulties than they had last time around, there is a distinct possibility that they don't have a speaker elected in order to preside over the certification of the vote time January 6th comes around.
Well, Mike
That's
Johnson,
going to be something to watch.
Well, Mike Johnson, he took a job that he knew was interim, right? I mean, come on, man. And clearly, who's going to survive Donald Trump being the president with Elon Musk, and demanding, just blurting out anything. And, Congress, here's my real issue with all of it, Dominic.
What's that?
These congressmen and senators who are elected by the people in a representative government should not be saying, he said he's going to primary us. And so I have to go along with it because they're going to primary. If you do what's right by the people, you don't have to worry about them primarying you, right? But yet these Republicans are afraid, and rightfully so, that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going to primary them. So they've got to do what's in the best interest of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, as opposed to the people who elected them. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's seems totally backwards to me. And I get it if you're in a cult,
Yep.
That's what you got to be worried about. But this is the reality that they're facing, Earl. And I'm with you. And I do think there will be some Republicans who will resist, quote unquote. I do think that's going to happen, especially when you got the hangers-on like Elon Musk and Ramaswamy and Laura Loomer and God knows what other folks who are unelected come out of the woodwork to start throwing mud, and they're throwing mud at each other. But specifically, it was let's see, Steve Bannon. Remember the guy that went to jail for not telling what he knew to the committee, I believe.
I remember that.
The January 6th. He just got out right before the election. He was at the Phoenix Convention Center for America Fest. America Fest.
America Fest.
America Fest.
What is America? What is America Fest?
Yeah, man, it's America Fest. Here's what Steve Bannon. Again, this is a Trump advisor who did time for keeping his mouth shut. We don't need partisanship now. We need hyper partisanship now. There's no dealing, man. There's no love across the aisle.
Oh man, that's gonna work so great for them because they've got such an enormous margin of majority.
Yeah, not really though. I mean, no, in their heads they think they do, but they don't.
But Dom, he won a landslide victory.
You keep saying it doesn't make it so.
I mean, he almost got more than 50%.
Yeah, but he didn't. Under 50%. That means more people voted against him
that is true.
than for him. That's literally the opposite of a mandate. But NBC goes on to report, mocking the efforts by House Speaker Mike Johnson to strike a bipartisan agreement that would avert a government shutdown. Bannon said, quote, conversation's over. President Trump came back from the political dead and on the shoulders of the most powerful populist movement in the history of the world. Won a landslide victory. We have nothing else to discuss. It's only about the execution of President Trump's plan.
We're going to take it out back and shoot it?
I guess so. Another speaker, Donald Trump Jr., took aim at the 38 House Republicans who voted against a spending measure that aligned with his father's priorities. He urged the grassroots activists to, quote, primary the hell out of Republican lawmakers who impede the president-elect's policy goals. In Washington, the younger Trump said, quote, it's not just the Democrats that are our foes. It's the vast majority of the Republicans. Just because they have an R next to their name doesn't mean anything anymore. Honestly, the Republican Party of a few years ago is gone. This is now the America First Party. Donald Trump is in charge. So the threat is real, Earl.
Well, what I would say to you is the real fear is Donald Trump gets 4 years. After his 4 years, they'll run Junior. They'll put him up next, and Just man, look. I don't. I try not to get so worked up about it because it doesn't seem real, man. This just seems like something out of the Twilight Zone, man.
Again.
Right.
We saw that episode, man. I don't want to go
playing
back.
replays.
I know. Imagine if you will. Yeah, we just did. It wasn't great. Folks, you're listening to the Dom Salvia Show. I'm Dom Salvia. That's Earl Ingram. Just PS is on the board. You folks are on the lines and on the messaging stream. We'll get to you next. 855-752-4842. 855-75-Civic.
$15.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. 855-752-4842. 855-75-Civic. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up right now on the lines. Talk or text. Just PS on the board. Earl sticking around for this segment. And we see some callers. Let's get to them. Wisco Paul, you are up. Happy days, Paulie. What do you got for us?
Same to you. A happy New Year to both of you.
Thanks, man.
I agree with Earl on some of the stuff, but CNN really doesn't know what it wants to be if you watch it, and I do from time to time. They don't know if they want to be right, left, center. They're like all over the map. And as far as MSNBC goes, their ratings are going to come back. Right now, a lot of the people that I'm friends with or acquaintances with, they're suffering like myself from Trump fatigue, and you just want to get away from it.
Totally.
He just gets, but once this guy starts to implement some of the things that he's promised, he's going to round up all these people and want to send them back. That and alone is going to be a major task. And Musk, he wants to balance his budget, and I'll tell you what, if they start messing around with this Medicare and Medicaid, they're going to open up a hornet's nest, because that's Social Security and Medicaid. You can't. He says he's not going to mess with them, but I don't believe anything he says. At least that's the way the last term was. So That's just my opinion. I think the ratings will come back. Your ratings are going to be good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle 4 years. Trump every day.
Oh, come on. You'll be fine. We're used to it, though, Wisco. Now we got, we can put the Trump filter on. But you said something I thought was interesting about CNN. Something they don't know if they want to be right or want to be left. I mean, can't they just be like a news organization? You know what I'm saying? Do you have to have a right or a left? Hey, there's snow on the ground. That's a fact. I don't know what the right spin on that or the left spin on that. If you're out there just reporting on the facts. Now, your opinions can come from all sides. And, Fox has, liberals on occasionally, and MSNBC and CNN, they have conservatives on as well. And you talk about your opinions. But from a news reporting organization, Wisco, can't they just report the news that, independently and without bias or favor towards one ideology?
They can't seem to do that. It's all about ratings. and I know where MSNBC is coming from, and I know where Fox is coming from. CNN, I have no idea. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
And knowing that, I think MSNBC is more newsy than Fox. Hey, Earl summed it up. They were sued for I don't know how much money because they lied to everybody,
Right.
and you're still watching that?
I know.
Come on, give me a break. Earl hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Thanks for taking my
thank
call.
you, Paulie. Appreciate it, man. Best to you, 855-752-4842. Earl, what's your sense, man? Do you think that CNN, MSNBC, Fox, is there any what? Because I look at what Wisco was saying here, and I think, I think it depends on the person talking. Like here at Civic Media, right? Right now, I do the show now. You have the show in the morning. You have your perspectives and opinions, and you bring news and facts and opinions to your show, as I do it, as most people do on this network. So it's not just that a network is one thing or the other. I think it depends on who you're watching on that network. I mean, I was a big fan of Neil Cavuto for a long time. I thought that dude, from a business reporting perspective, he called strikes and balls. I thought he was for a Fox guy, he was pretty straight up, and now he's kind of the last one to leave over there. Doesn't make the whole network at Fox News like Cavuto. If it was, maybe they wouldn't have been sued.
Well, so let me put it this way. So when Bill O'Reilly had the 7 o'clock hour, the top spot, he was entertaining. He was a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
I could live with that. When they brought Tucker Carlson there to replace Bill O'Reilly, there was some substance, even though I had issues with them. But now Jesse Waters. Hey, come on, man. Hey, come on, man. What can we say about that? The top news spot on their evening, during the evening, they got a clown like Jesse Waters trying to be a serious person. And come on, man. That just tells you, man, how far they've fallen, man. I don't care how many people keep watching them. But Bill O'Reilly to Jesse Waters, come on, man.
Jesse Waters was like Bill O'Reilly's man on the street, right? I mean, back when Bill was rolling and he brought this frat boy. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But he went out there and he did the job and put the mics in front of people's faces and reported back to Papa Bear. And then fast forward 15 years and now he's in that slot and literally went out to say during the election that if you vote for a woman, you will transition into a woman.
Yep.
I know, man.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah, it's a fact. It's scientifically proven. I mean, it is. Come on, and the whole masculinity thing, and I mean,
you remember the whole vanilla milkshake?
Yes.
Debacle.
It's just it's such overcompensation. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
We undercompensate here. Hey, folks.
We're too comfortable with who we are.
Folks, you've been listening to the Dom Salvia Show. Certainly appreciate every single one of you. I know, folks, we're taking a little breather here and there. We'll try to keep it light next week or two. But, the inauguration is going to happen, and sooner or later there may or may not be a new Speaker of the House, and there will be impacts. Laws will be made, executive orders will be issued, and things will happen that we will have to deal with it, but we will do it together. Earl Ingram, thank you so much for joining me, man. Check him out tomorrow and Monday through Friday here on the Civic Media Radio Network, 8 to 10 a.m. Jess P.S., thank you for what you do. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays, Earl. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you here tomorrow.
All right. Later.